Welcome to Blackpool Victoria Hospital's Memory Lane. It was designed and developed with our patients in mind to make sure that we had a place for them to go that gave them lovely memories, that was somewhere that wasn't clinical, that wasn't a hospital ward, that allowed you to see and be in a different environment. With our patients in mind, we've got sights, we've got sounds, we've got smells, we've got lots of things that will affect them sensory so that they can enjoy the memory corridor. Let's take a walk down it together. We start the corridor with images that the Notriani family donated. Mr. Notriani himself in the ice cream parlour, and then his images that he took himself with photographs from the 1970s. The Notriani family also donated memorabilia for the memory boxes. It was opened officially on the 23rd of May by Mr. Jimmy Armfield, the memory corridor, and we were very grateful for his influence and input, and it gave us a celebrity presence at the very beginning of the process. So the first zone is the Stanley Park zone, but it could be any park. You could sit and be looking out at the lake on any park in any town. We've purposely also included images that are specific to Stanley Park, because then, if you do recognise this area, that will evoke very personal memories, perhaps of taking the children to the cafe or being around the boating lake. We've also got memorabilia boxes as we go down the corridor, filled with different aspects of memorabilia that will also allow a conversation. It might allow somebody to read some information, or it might allow somebody to just see something different. They also divide the zones. The next zone we have is the sports section. So we have images very specifically of when Blackpool Football Club won the FA Cup in 1953, but we've also included within the images different sports, rugby, football. We then get to the Pleasure Beach. The Pleasure Beach zone looks very specifically of having fun on the promenade, whether it be fish and chips or whether it be going on the Big Dipper ride. And it's also followed with the duck shoot and candy floss and donuts and going on the steeplechase ride, or perhaps going in the evening and seeing the hot ice show. The next section looks at the promenade, and it looks at each side, but mainly from the shops section, such as Robert's Oyster Bar, Yates's Wine Lodge. We've got Blackpool Tower, and many people who maybe live in Blackpool or don't live in Blackpool will have memories of Blackpool Tower and Blackpool Promenade. There's the big double-decker bus that we've all hopped on and off and enjoyed, and those you can still be seen on the promenade now, but they're an older version that'll give an older memory. The amusement arcades and the pushers and the little fruit machines, they're all moments that everybody's had fun on the promenade. And of course the guest houses, where people will have stayed for little holidays. Next section is the Tower Circus, so a memorabilia box that's filled with information about the different years of Tower Circus and the different clowns and entertainment that we've shown there. And then of course the famous Charlie Caroli, the most famous clown perhaps at Blackpool Tower Circus. The next zone is Blackpool Grand Theatre, and again just images of different shows that might have occurred during that time and different individuals that have been on the famous stage. The old wonderful posters that used to invite people along to the shows, that show all the different people that used to be on that stage and different shows that were available. And then we come to the shed and the gentleman's area and different activities. The activity board is very specifically to do different activities. And these images are to evoke memories of a gentleman or a lady perhaps, but mainly gentlemen, being in their shed, having a bit of peace and quiet. On the opposite side we've got the ladies' living room that used to be a special area, I'm sure, for many older ladies, with the real big double colour television and the sideboard, the traditional telephone. We've also got a kitchen, the big larder fridge and bread bin, and all of the different memorabilia in that box that will be very specific to perhaps the 50s and 60s and 70s. So Marmite and the old-fashioned whisk. We've also got an ironing board with an iron that we have that we can actually have a meaningful moment within your confusion. You might want to just stand and do some ironing, take you back to another nice memory. As we enter again into the Grand Theatre zone, this gives us a view when you're seated on the opposite side of the Grand Theatre stage itself. And that's an actual image of the inside of the theatre. Again, to evoke general memories that people may have enjoyed. So this is a sound system that allows us to include sounds on the corridor, so more of a sensory experience. It'll match with the area of the zone that we're in, so the Grand Theatre, so we've got quite jazzy orchestral music, and some of the posters, again, advertising the shows that we're on from times gone by. The next zone up was the Tower Circus again, and this time on the opposite side, it gives you the view of being in the Tower Circus. And again, an actual image of that circus and the different shows that we may or may have all seen over the years. Posters of times gone by when we had animals at the circus and different acts that we don't have anymore, but famous posters that are well known. Then we get to the opposite side of the promenade with the sandhills and images of the sandhills and the tram stops, and sitting in this side waiting for a tram perhaps, looking out to the sea. And then we come to the pier. This is an image of North Pier, and as you know we've got 3 piers in Blackpool, but the piers themselves will evoke wonderful memories, conversations, times enjoyed with perhaps family or children, or just simply a stroll down the prom. We then come to another memorabilia box, this one focusing very much on the beach and the seaside and times gone by in Blackpool, happy memories, perhaps eating an ice cream on the prom or fish and chips, or even coming by coach, as often people did in those days. We go back into Pleasure Beach and we've got more images. We also have the sensory smells within this area of sweeties and candy floss. And more sounds of the promenade and the seagulls. These sounds are set on a system whereby they're triggered when somebody walks past. So they just happen around the person entering the corridor. They might be hearing a tram or somebody on a roller coaster. And then we come back to the sports section again with the opposite side of the corridor with somewhere pleasant to sit, and with also some other images of different sports, so perhaps cranberry bowling or cricket or horse racing. And window boxes to allow you to remember that you're in a nice park scene. And the opposite side of the park again, where you can see perhaps a playground or different grass and of course the famous clock tower. We've also incorporated the bus stop here, so if perhaps a patient's confused or agitated and needing to get somewhere within the ward, we can allow them to wander down the corridor and just sit by the bus stop for a while. It's quite obvious that all of the images within the corridor are Blackpool themed. We wanted them to be within this local area to allow people to remember times gone by in Blackpool. However, it's important to remember that we could actually make this whole concept fit any locality. We could have local images for perhaps London or Scotland or anywhere in the world. It's really about finding images that are quite generic but also quite local, just to be sure that they fit with everybody, so that within their confusion they're able to see and remember somewhere nice.